El Salvador news. A small nation nestled in Central America, known for its lush landscapes, vibrant culture, and tragic history. But beneath this beauty lies a harsh reality, one marked by violence, poverty, and despair. This is a story about the human cost of these issues, about the people caught in a seemingly endless cycle of suffering. We'll journey into the heart of El Salvador. We'll explore the grim realities of gang violence and its grip on entire communities. We'll witness the overcrowded prisons struggling to contain the fallout. And we'll hear the stories of those whose lives have been forever changed by this crisis. At the heart of El Salvador's troubles lies the pervasive presence of powerful gangs. Mara Salvatrucha, or M.S. and Barrio 18 are the most notorious. Their influence seeps into every corner of society. Extortion, drug trafficking, and murder are their tools of trade. They rule through fear and intimidation. Their grip on communities is suffocating. Young people are particularly vulnerable. They face a stark choice: join the gang or live in constant fear. For many, the gang offers a perverse sense of belonging, a warped family structure in a society that has failed them. The consequences of resisting are brutal. Those who defy the gangs risk their lives and the lives of their loved ones. Poverty is both a cause and consequence of El Salvador's woes. Many citizens live in abject poverty. They lack access to basic necessities, education, healthcare, and even food. This creates fertile ground for the gangs to thrive. They exploit the desperation of the poor, offering a way out, a chance for survival, even if it comes at a terrible price. The cycle seems endless. Poverty breeds crime. Crime leads to violence and instability, and this instability further deepens the cycle of poverty. But amidst this darkness, there are glimmers of hope. Ordinary Salvadorans are fighting back. They are working to build a better future for themselves and their children. Gangs in El Salvador aren't just groups of delinquents. They are sophisticated criminal enterprises. They have a hierarchical structure, often mimicking the military. Young recruits, often children barely in their teens, are at the bottom rung. These children are the foot soldiers. They act as lookouts, runners, and enforcers. They carry out the gang's dirty work, often under threat of violence themselves. Their childhoods are stolen, replaced with the harsh realities of gang life. Indoctrination starts early. Gangs target vulnerable youth, offering them a sense of belonging and purpose they lack in their impoverished communities. They provide a warped sense of family, loyalty, and protection. Once initiated, escape is nearly impossible. Leaving the gang is often a death sentence. These children are trapped, both victims and perpetrators, in a cycle of violence they barely understand. The reach of the gangs extends far beyond street corners and slums. They operate with impunity in many parts of the country, their influence seeping into every aspect of society. Businesses, both large and small, are forced to pay extortion fees, known as renta, for the privilege of operating. Refusal to comply often results in violence, sometimes even death. The constant threat of violence creates a climate of fear that paralyzes entire communities. People are afraid to speak out, to report crimes, or even to seek help. The government seems powerless to stop them. Corruption is rampant, and the justice system is weak. Gangs have infiltrated the police and the government, further eroding public trust. The rule of law is fragile, and fear reigns supreme. El Salvador's prisons are a stark testament to the country's struggle with gangs. Overcrowded and underfunded, they are breeding grounds for further violence and radicalization. Inmates live in squalid conditions, often lacking basic necessities like food, water, and sanitation. Gang rivalries continue within the prison walls, often more brutal than on the streets. The prisons have become, in essence, universities of crime. Young offenders emerge hardened, more deeply entrenched in gang life, and even more dangerous. The government has attempted to crack down on gang activity, implementing harsh security measures and mass incarcerations. However, these efforts have often exacerbated the problem, further straining the already overburdened prison system and failing to address the root causes of gang violence. El Salvador, geographically positioned along the infamous drug trafficking routes from South America to the United States, finds itself caught in the crosshairs of the international narcotics trade. This small nation has become a crucial transit point for cocaine, heroin, and other illicit substances, fueling a deadly cycle of violence and corruption that permeates its society. The vast profits generated by the drug trade are a powerful incentive for gangs like M.S. and Barrio 18. They have transformed themselves into sophisticated criminal organizations, controlling key points along the trafficking routes and engaging in bloody turf wars for dominance. These gangs, flush with cash from drug trafficking, have acquired significant firepower, often surpassing that of the Salvadoran police and military. The easy availability of weapons further fuels the violence, turning once peaceful communities into battlegrounds. The consequences of this drug war are devastating. Innocent civilians, often caught in the crossfire, pay the ultimate price. The rule of law is undermined, and a climate of fear and impunity prevails. The bustling streets of San Salvador, the capital of El Salvador, and other major cities bear the scars of the ongoing drug war. What were once vibrant marketplaces and community centers are now often considered dangerous no-go zones, controlled by one gang or another. Residents live in a constant state of anxiety, fearful of becoming victims of extortion, kidnapping, or stray bullets. The sound of gunfire echoes through the night, a grim reminder of the violence that permeates their lives. Businesses are forced to operate under the constant threat of extortion, paying protection money to gangs to avoid reprisals. Those who resist risk their livelihoods and the safety of their employees and families. The violence has also led to a mass exodus as thousands flee their homes in search of safety. This displacement further disrupts communities and contributes to the cycle of poverty and despair. For ordinary Salvadorans living under the shadow of drug-related violence has become a grim reality. The fear is palpable, shaping every aspect of their lives, from where they go to how they interact with each other. Parents are afraid to let their children play outside, fearing they might be caught in the crossfire or recruited by gangs. Schools, once considered safe havens, have become targets of violence, forcing many to close their doors or operate under heavy security. Basic errands, like going to the market or visiting family, are fraught with risk. People travel in groups or during daylight hours, avoiding certain neighborhoods altogether. The constant threat of violence erodes trust, even among neighbors. The psychological toll of this perpetual fear is immeasurable. Trauma, anxiety, and depression are widespread, particularly among children who have grown up knowing nothing but violence. The social fabric of society is torn apart, leaving communities fragmented and broken. In the heart of El Salvador, where violence casts a long shadow, religion offers a beacon of hope. Faith provides solace and strength amidst turmoil. Churches dot the landscape, serving as sanctuaries from chaos. Inside, struggles lift, replaced by peace. The rhythmic cadence of prayers, the uplifting melodies of hymns, and comforting sermons offer respite. Churches in El Salvador serve as more than just places of worship. They are often community centers, offering a range of social services to those in need, from food banks and soup kitchens to after-school programs and job training initiatives. These institutions play a vital role in supporting vulnerable populations. For young people, churches can provide a safe haven from the lure of gangs and violence. Youth groups offer a sense of belonging, mentorship, and opportunities for personal growth. Through sports, music, and other activities, these programs provide positive alternatives to the negative influences that permeate their communities. Women, often disproportionately affected by violence and poverty, find support and empowerment through church-based programs. They offer counseling, skills training, and microfinance opportunities, helping them regain control of their lives and provide for their families. The elderly, often forgotten and neglected in a society grappling with so many challenges, find companionship and care within the church community. Senior centers offer social interaction, meals, and assistance with daily tasks, ensuring that they are not forgotten. While religion offers solace and support for many in El Salvador, it also highlights stark contradictions within this troubled nation. Streets where churches stand as beacons of hope are also battlegrounds for gang violence and drug trafficking. Teachings of love clash with brutal realities. Families torn apart by violence, communities living in fear, a justice system struggling to cope. Some argue the church's focus on spiritual salvation distracts from social justice. Critics see passive acceptance of the status quo. Others highlight the church's history of social activism, advocating for human rights and empowering the poor. Faith and social justice can work together for a just society. Poverty's grip on El Salvador is relentless. Its impact is most profound on the nation's children. For them, poverty isn't just an economic condition. It's a suffocating reality that shapes their present and casts a long shadow over their future. Education remains a distant dream for many children in El Salvador. Poverty forces them to drop out of school early. Overcrowded classrooms and a lack of supplies create a challenging learning environment. Without a solid education, their future prospects remain bleak. Despite immense challenges, glimmers of hope emerge from El Salvador's poverty. Grassroots organizations strive to break poverty's chains and empower youth. They provide safe havens, educational support, and opportunities for growth. Arts, music, and sports nurture creativity and build confidence. Vocational training equips youth with marketable skills for employment. Our journey through El Salvador has been a sobering one, a stark reminder of the human cost of poverty, violence, and despair. We've witnessed firsthand the grip of gangs, the devastation of drug trafficking, and the struggle for survival that defines daily life for so many. We've seen how poverty creates fertile ground for gangs to thrive, offering a perverse sense of belonging and opportunity to those who feel they have no other choice. We've seen how the drug trade, fueled by international demand and domestic corruption, has turned once vibrant communities into battlegrounds. And we've seen how this cycle of violence and despair has eroded the very fabric of society, leaving countless lives shattered and a nation teetering on the brink. But amidst the darkness, we've also witnessed remarkable resilience, a deep well of faith, and a tenacious spirit that refuses to be extinguished. There are no easy solutions to the complex challenges facing El Salvador. Years of neglect, corruption, and ineffective policies have created a deeply entrenched system that perpetuates poverty, violence, and inequality. Breaking this cycle will require a sustained and multifaceted approach, one that addresses the root causes rather than just the symptoms. It demands a commitment to tackling poverty and inequality, creating economic opportunities, and providing quality education and health care for all citizens. It requires strengthening the justice system, rooting out corruption, and reforming the prison system to focus on rehabilitation rather than punishment. And it necessitates a comprehensive strategy to combat gangs and drug trafficking, one that combines effective law enforcement with social programs aimed at providing at-risk youth with viable alternatives to a life of crime. But true change must come from within. Despite the daunting challenges, there are seeds of hope taking root in El Salvador. Across the country, ordinary citizens, community leaders, and grassroots organizations are working tirelessly to create a better future. They are establishing after-school programs, providing vocational training, and empowering women through microfinance initiatives. They are promoting peace, fostering dialogue, and working to heal the wounds of the past. Their efforts, often carried out with limited resources and in the face of immense obstacles, are a testament to the enduring human spirit and the power of hope. They are the ones who will ultimately determine El Salvador's future, building a more just, equitable, and peaceful society for generations to come. Their stories, though often overshadowed by the headlines of violence and despair, offer a beacon of hope, reminding us that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit can prevail. Please subscribe for more. If you enjoy, give me a like.